Hi, I'm Penny, and it is already the end of January. Every year, we get through the first month of the year and we say, oh my god, I can't believe January is over already. But I honestly feel like I've done nothing, so oh my god, I can't believe January is over already. But I actually read a lot more books than I thought. I thought that I didn't get much read at all, but I read 16 books. I just finished one and I have not marked it as read. So 16 books, which is fairly decent. Now, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of those books. Oh no, I lied, 15 books. 15 books. I suck at counting, huh? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 of these books were all from the same series, and that is the Kate Daniels series by Ilona Andrews. So I was rereading these. This must be the 9, 8, 7, 6th book. I read the 6th book right at the start of the year. I mean, I could talk about each of these in separate, but if you haven't read the series, you don't know. Kate Daniels is this amazing mercenary involved with the Shapeshifter pack and also their version of vampires and all these other weird magical creatures. It's set in this apocalyptic future where magic has started to come back, but it comes back in waves. So sometimes magic is up and magic is working and all these different mythological creatures come back and people gain different magical powers, and then suddenly magic will stop and technology will come back. It's completely unpredictable. You don't know when technology is going to be working or when magic's going to be working. It's made the world really messed up. Kate Daniels has this like super magical father and a lot of magic in her blood, and she's trying to deal with this drama. So I read Magic Breaks, Magic Shifts, Magic Binds. I also read this little short novella, Magic Stars, which follows her kind of adopted daughter Julie and this other guy called Derek, who is a shapeshifter. I also read the spin-off book, Iron and Magic, which follows Hugh, who was kind of her enemy for a significant part of the book. In fact, pretty much the whole of the series. He is the warlord for her father's army. This book had spoilers to tell you how he's ended up into this situation, but you follow Hugh, and he's ended up getting married to this woman who also has her own powers. So this is going to be a new series. This is the first book. I did quite enjoy it. I like how it's still very practical, dealing with him having to set up a castle and look after his people and some very practical elements of that, at the same time as they're having like magical battles and sword fights. The action in this series is just amazing. If you like action and you like mysteries, this one less so, but most of the Kate Daniels series is set up as different mysteries because she's to some degree like a detective trying to solve these different magical cases. So if you like that, you'll like the Kate Daniels series. Personally, it's my favorite series ever. And so I finally got to book 10, the final book in the series. I only just finished it this morning, to be honest, and I don't know if I really know what I think about it yet. I know that I was having mild panic attacks when I only had like 20 pages to go, and I was thinking, how is this all going to get wrapped up? We're only just preparing for the final battle, but we're in the final chapter. How is this going to happen? But actually, I think I'm pretty satisfied with the ending. How did that happen? I love Kate. I think she set it up for more books in this world. Like, obviously, with the Iron and Magic series, she's going to be continuing in the world. And the final little epilogue made me think that we might follow along with some other characters. Fingers crossed, because then we can still get, like, bits and pieces of Kate. Kate's obviously my favorite, but so many of the other characters are great too. I love their banter. I love kind of the real modern take on all this different mythology. It pulls mythology from all around the world into the story, and it deals with it in a really practical way. I love the series. if you watched my channel before, you would have seen me talk about it lots. If you like paranormal stuff that's very snarky with a lot of attitude, but not too heavy on the romance, there is romance, but it's not like annoying if you get annoyed by romance like I do. I definitely recommend this series. I think it's great. Probably not for everyone, but I love it. But I did read some other books throughout the month, kind of in between those, some audio books. A lot of the rest were audio books, but also a couple of graphic novel ones. And I am saying that the theme for this month was kind of badass women, or girls, badass females. We'll see what I say when I come up with the title. So I'm holding it right here. The first book that I actually finished this year was Paper Girls number 5, which came out. I got it from the library. Libraries are great. Paper Girls is the series that basically follows this group of girls. And they were paper delivery girls in the 80s, but they are now traveling through time and having a bit of an adventure. The story is a bit confusing. It's getting a bit clearer. The art isn't quite as good as I would have liked. Like, I think in some of the previous volumes there were pages that I thought were actually amazing, but I don't think there were any particularly amazing ones in this volume. The story's okay though. I mean, as I said in my favorites video, I really love time travel books, so I thought I would really love this series, but it's just okay. I do think I will keep reading it though, because I'm hoping that there will be a payoff for all the effort. Isn't that what you're always hoping for a series? I mean, the covers are pretty. At least the covers are pretty. Then I also read And the Ocean Was Our Sky by Patrick Ness. Now, you might say, Penny, you just said the theme of this was badass females. How does this fit? But actually, this follows this little group of whales who are all women whales, and they are warriors. What are they? Hunters? They're trying to hunt humans. Basically, the whales and the humans are at war. And from the whale's perspective, everything is like upside down. Some of the art is really cool. It's not really a graphic novel because there's a lot of words, but there are some pages which were quite beautiful and quite intense. Now, this is meant to be kind of a retelling of Moby Dick. I haven't read Moby Dick, and it is way too long. I'm not going to read Moby Dick. I have no interest in reading Moby Dick, but I do feel like if I'd read Moby Dick, this might have been a little bit more meaningful to me. I really enjoyed the culture of the whales. They have this really interesting belief around prophecies and an interesting social structure, but the overall story was a bit blah blah blah, a little bit boring, but it's not that long, so you know, still worth a read. I think what happened in the end was not expected. Not expected at all. So that was good. I don't know, there were aspects of this that I really liked, but it was a little bit boring. So then everything else I listened to on audiobook. Firstly, it was Blue Lily Lily Blue and The Raven King by Maggie Stiefvater, which is the 3rd and 4th books in the Raven cycle, which I started listening to, or I don't know whether to say rereading or re-listening to. I have actually already read the books previously. I have them somewhere over there, but I heard that the audiobooks were really amazing, so I decided to read the series again via audiobook, and I'm really glad I did. At first, the narrator's accent put me off a little bit, but once I got used to it, I actually really loved it. I just think Maggie Stiefvater's writing style is really beautiful, and that came across really well in the verbal telling of it. Just a really wonderful world, but I feel it's really hard to give a synopsis that really encompasses the whole series without giving spoilers. At a high level, you follow this girl named Blue who lives in a family of psychics, and her whole life has been told that when she kisses her true love, he will die. She meets up with these private school boys, the Raven Boys, and they are trying to find a Welsh king who, when you wake him up, he will grant a wish for you. But there's a lot more going on than that. Like, so much more going on than that, but I can't really tell you. It's all magical and creepy and dark and cool. I really enjoyed re-listening to this series. Then the next book I read doesn't really fit with my theme at all, and that is Heretics Anonymous by Katie Henry. So I read this because it was available at the library and I'd seen Emma Books say that it was really good, and I quite enjoy religious philosophy even though I'm not religious. I like talking about the concept of religion and how religious ideas are interesting, talking about different ones. So I thought I might really enjoy this. We follow this boy who is an atheist and he is going to Catholic school. And he ends up meeting up with this group that calls themselves Heretics Anonymous, and they're all kind of people who are different for different reasons. And I guess it's supposed to be a story about tolerance of people's different beliefs and different ways of living. Which it does okay. It's definitely a very young adult. This is why I normally don't read contemporary. Because, there isn't even any magic in it. Boring. Contemporary is just not really for me. If you like contemporary, you might not mind this. It's still very young adult. They're all at school, getting into, school type stuff. I got very annoyed at the main character because he was always so shitty at his parents, but I personally could see his parents' perspectives much better. Maybe I'm too old. But in general, it was okay. I didn't mind it. It was enjoyable to listen to, keep me busy, keep my mind occupied while I play Pokemon. But it wasn't amazing. Then I also listened to a couple of non-fiction audiobooks. The first one I listened to was 10% Happier by Dan Harris. Now the subtitle to this book is How I Tamed the Voice in My Head, Reduced Stress Without Losing My Edge, and Found Self-Help That Actually Works. So I read this book hoping to get some help with being 10% happier. But unfortunately, it turns out that Dan Harris is like some Nightline presenter, and this was much more about his little story about himself. I don't care about him, so probably I shouldn't have picked up this book. I don't even know why I did. I think I saw it as popular at the library, so I thought, oh, 10% happier and popular. I want to be 10% happier. Really, it could have just been a sentence saying, try mindfulness and meditation, because that's what the point of his whole story was. So, yeah, don't read that. Just try mindfulness and meditation. Unless you care about Dan Harris's story, in which case, maybe you'd like it. Then I listened to Shockaholic by Carrie Fisher. This was narrated by Carrie Fisher herself, and I haven't listened to any of her previous books. I might do, but I felt like this was very all over the place, just her having a good talk, which was okay because Carrie Fisher's cool. Listening to her talk for 4 hours, that was alright. But there wasn't really much of a point. To some degree, she was talking about her experience with electric shock therapy, and I found that part really interesting. Then she started just getting into a bunch of different anecdotes about different famous people, including her father, who I don't even know anything about and don't really care, and Michael Jackson, which was a little bit weird. And I do feel like I know, it was funny, but I also felt like it was trying too hard to be really funny and intelligent. And I guess it was funny and intelligent, but it was definitely interesting having listened to Carrie Fisher herself talking about some of her thoughts. But it wasn't any kind of amazing thing that I thought it might be. Then lastly, I listened to another audiobook called Highly Illogical Behavior by John Corey Whaley. This is a book I saw a long time ago being talked about on BookTube, and so I had put it on my to-read list on Goodreads, and I've started trying to look for audiobooks from that list because otherwise I am never getting through that list. So I picked up this one. It follows this boy named Solomon who has had panic attacks and at some point decided that he's just never going to leave the house. So he lives in his house and he never leaves. We also follow this girl named Lisa who wants to become a psychologist, and so she went to school with him when he had his panic attack and then never came back, and she's decided to track him down so that she will have some subject matter for her university entrance essay about her experiences with mental illness. I think it was a really interesting story about friendship. I don't know how realistic the representation of agoraphobia and panic attacks and anxiety really was. Maybe it seemed like it was probably okay, but I don't really know. I did really like that Lisa and also her boyfriend Clark learned to accept him for who he is, so that's where that whole theme of friendship came from, and I thought that was a really good message about accepting people for who they are, even when they have mental illnesses. But again, it was a contemporary. It wasn't even any magic in it, so I got a little bit bored. So, those are all the books that I read in January. 15 books, not too bad considering that I spent a lot of the time traveling and not reading. Of course, I also have my February TBR here ready to film, and it is a much bigger stack than my January reading, so stay tuned for that video, I guess. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time.